right, welcome everybody to episode number 20 of the Hockey Toolkit. I am Trevor DiCarlo.
I'm Andrew Trimble.
And we are both sick, so, I don't know what it was, but we both got something in two different areas of the country, so. But
must be floating over the northeast corridor of the United States.
It's just like that smoke that came from Canada that was like basically like turned us all in a haze out here. Did you guys even get hit by that?
You know, my mom said, she's down in New Jersey, and she said, she's like, oh, you seeing all the smoke and something? And I'm like, no, it's clear skies in New Hampshire, so it must have bypassed us.
Well,
somehow.
I mean,
I don't know.
Jersey, though, there's always like a natural haze, isn't there?
Yeah, good point.
Shots fired.
Could be anywhere from on the turnpike from New York down to Carteret.
That's just. But Coach, how you been? It's been a while.
Yeah, you know, we got my summer's really in right in the thick of it now. I got my camps going on, and I've had a summer team, and we got about 2 weeks or so before our players arrive. So just rounding that summer stuff up, and then getting focused for our season ahead. How about yourself, Trevor?
It's like the summer flew by, and like, I mean, in a good way and a bad way, because I feel like I definitely am, wish there was a little bit more time, a little bit more time to relax. I wish I would have taken like a little bit more of a break, but I am excited though to jump right in. We actually just started this week to have our first preseason skates, so I got a bunch of just 9-year-olds just barfing their brains out, just gasping for air. No, it was nothing like that. But
bag skate Monday,
and Wednesday, Coach Trevor. But we had our first two, like 30 kids total for their 2014 birth years, which is fantastic for us. So, it's been a good start already preseason wise. So I'm looking forward to what the regular season's got coming up here. But you said get the boys coming into town here in 2 weeks?
Yeah, we got everybody in billets. So that's always a big, that's always scary. Like you just got to keep grinding away at that stuff and, communicate what the experience is all about to people. Because a lot of people have reservations. They think they got to drive kids everywhere. They think they got to do their laundry and stuff like that. And it's really not like that. The kid, we tell all our kids who are living in billets that, they should be contributing to the household more than the household contributing to them. That it's an opportunity to have that experience and to be in someone else's home. So you got to make sure that you're doing the right things on and off the ice, and you're playing a part and a role in their family. So we got our last couple ones fit in the other day, and we're ready to get rolling.
That's awesome. No, that's great. I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, I see it all the time on social media for junior teams, they're always looking for billet families. So the fact that you guys are, you're not scrambling last minute, that's fantastic.
Well, there's always people who have suggestions. I love that. They're always like, oh, well, why don't you just put them in a house together?
Oh God, no.
It's like, well, you said it right there.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want 5, 10, 15 unsupervised 18, 19-year-olds in a house.
It's what a frat house is called. Yeah.
Exactly. So, we still stay with a lot of billets. We do have some rentals, but we only really do those for returning players who we know. And those are actually pretty supervised, too, because the landlord lives next door. So I think we do it right in a lot of respects up here. Nothing's ever perfect, and some kids will still be knuckleheads, but we do the best job we can.
I couldn't even imagine if I would have went out and played junior hockey and lived in one of the hockey houses. I played college hockey, and again, it was ECHA Division 2, and the guys that were from all over the country that had played juniors were playing on the D1 team. They all lived in the same, I guess you could say, apartment complex area, and it was just, it would get silly at times, just
Absolutely.
the stupid stuff they would do, and I'm it was just... Yeah, I think I was out there a couple times, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay home on the nights that I don't have to be out there, or don't have whatever, because I don't want to get arrested. So silly time, but that's what you do when you're young. You get arrested. No, I'm just kidding. I never got arrested, but yeah.
Well, I always say and kids they look like they're adults. But they're not adults. I mean, they're not adults. They may be 200 pounds, might be 6'2", but they're not going to clean up after themselves until they get a wife who tells them what to do.
I'm 34. I look like an adult, and I act like a kid, so it doesn't even matter. So, I think everybody's just grown up kids in some way. I remember when I was young, I'm like, man. Like, oh, Uncle so-and-so or whoever is like, oh, man, he's like 30. Yeah, he's an adult. And I can only imagine the stupid stuff they were saying. Like I am at this age, like as a 34-year-old, I'm like, I feel like I'm still like in my 20s. Wish I looked like I was in my 20s, but this is not a vanity podcast. It's a hockey podcast, but.
Well, I'll tell a funny story. So at my dad's funeral, I started telling a funny story.
Wow, yeah.
Some of my dad's funeral.
We really went dark, yeah.
No, I didn't mean to do it like that.
Easy there, Anthony Jeselnik.
So this gentleman, Mr. Lempa, comes up to me, and he's a high school teacher with my dad, and he was also coached freshman football with my father. So we're sitting there and talking and reminiscing, and he's like, I don't know if you remember me. And it's like, of course I remember you, Mr. Lempa. You were my high school science teacher. I remember you, of course. And we get going back and forth, and we're telling some stories. And then I said, well, Mr. Limp, I got to tell you a story. I know my dad coached freshman football with you. And he said that every day after practice, you would go up to the high school, walk up to the high school locker room, and if you beat him to it, you would moon him in front of all the kids on the way back into the locker room. And that was probably 1976, something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could do that anymore.
No,
but he said,
I'll get you on the list.
He turned to me and he said, we're all kids at heart.
Yep. Well, yeah. So, we've already really hit all the list of things that we shouldn't hit in the very first 7 minutes. So, thanks for everybody for listening. I'm calling my lawyer, Trevor DiCarlo, and it's like I said, it's good to be back. Episode 20 here. So again, I've been seeing a lot of your stuff on Instagram and on Twitter of all the stuff that you guys did. I like that you guys had you guys did just one tournament this year. Correct? Yeah, for summer at least. And it sounded like it went really well.
Yeah, so I really do that summer team as a camp. I have
that's right.
3 practices and some workouts. We do chalk talks, and then we go play the tournament. I hate the idea, and it work. Every kid's different, but it just doesn't work for me to do tournaments like every weekend. I just want to do like a snapshot of like 6 days, and we build a team together in a short period of span, and we do well. And the kids, the last couple of years, they've done really well at that tournament, so it was a fun experience.
No, that's great. It's we've had a couple players this year, or one player for sure. I know that I have coached in the spring. He was doing something did a couple different camps, but the kid just eats and breathes hockey, and he loves it. So, and the parents they watched it, and they're just making sure okay, if at any point we can tell he's getting really burnt out, then we're gonna pull the plug here, But the kid just loved hockey, so I think it's a good thing to do. But I'm trying to think really. Recently, outside of Rocky Wertstein, I'm trying to think about NHL wise, what's been going on there, and I don't think there's really much besides Carlson getting traded to the Penguins.
That's big. Do you think they're a contender now?
I think they were always going to be a contender no matter what. I don't care how old Crosby is. The guy is still, him, Malkin, Letang. But I really think it's, they say you need 3 to 4 star players on your team in order, they've been saying, that's what the stats, the analytics are saying. But I think it depends on their age. It'd sure. Be oh yeah, okay, sure. Can I pull Wayne Gretzky out right now? And is that count as a star? But I think they are. I think they're still up there. They're year after year. They're consistently a contender. It's just I don't think Carlson really just puts them above and beyond. I don't think they're one of those teams where his impact does that. Still great hockey players. I think they're still gonna be a great team, but I still think the East is really it's a really tough division. They have to, or conference to even play in. So I don't know. What do you think?
Out of all those teams, and who's in and who's out, Capitals ended up being out by a handful of points. They were eliminated within the last 2 weeks or so of the season. But the Penguins really got eliminated within the last couple days. Who's in and who's out?
You can never count out Boston. I still, even with Bergeron retiring, I still think that they're going to come back, and they're still going to be one of the top in there. I mean, so you got them. Tampa Bay still, I mean, they haven't lost anybody, really. Yeah. You got them, still got the Panthers, so that's, the Panthers now have emerged as one of the top teams. Hopefully they can make next year, they make the playoffs that far, a little bit more exciting. Toronto, I mean, can't count them out, so you still got Toronto, so that's, 4 right there. Let's see here. It depends on what the Rangers really do. I mean, I think they're still in that conversation, so that's 4 now. So then we got
5, I think, right?
5, yeah. So you still got the Penguins, so that's 6. Absolutely Carolina, that's 7. And I mean, it's a toss-up. I mean, the Capitals, as you said, I think they knew, they accepted they weren't going to go far if they were to make the playoffs. So I think they kind of did a little bit of sell-off and tried to reload a bit. So I mean, it could be them, maybe. I mean, they're definitely in there. I don't know where really Columbus is at too much. I mean, I know that they spent a lot to get Goudreau out there. So, and I think they also kind of retooled in the offseason a little bit. So, I know I'm probably...
What about that team?
Well, I know.
On the other side of the Hudson River,
I know.
Black and red and white.
I know. I just... Literally, I was just like, as soon as you said what, I was like, I knew it. I was bagging you, really. No, for sure. The Devils, I mean, they're going to be contenders for, years to come here, which is awesome for you as a Devils fan because you get to watch that, So, I mean, East is tough. It's, you're not going to really get too many free wins. Like the West, where if you play Anaheim or you play the Sharks or you play the Blackhawks right now, those are going to be some easy points, But yeah, no, I mean, even Detroit, I mean, they've got to be right around the corner too, with all the players that they've accumulated the last few years. I mean, they've got to be right there.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Detroit, Ottawa, Buffalo all make a push this year.
Oh, Buffalo, yeah, and Buffalo too. Yeah, I mean, again, there's just so many teams.
Yeah, I think the Rangers are on the cusp there. I don't know if they took a step ahead this summer, and I think Boston lost a lot of guys. So this could be the start of the rebuild for Boston. Whether they might still squeak in, but they're getting at the end of that road.
I mean, you can't. Bergeron for sure could easily play again. I mean, guy put up almost a point per game this year and won the Selke again. I mean, they're renaming the trophy probably after him. So I think that, yeah, I mean, it sucks that they lost, that he's retired. I think it would definitely be, having him would make a huge difference, but I agree. I think they're going to just make that one last push, and then they're going to probably just go through the rebuild process like everybody else has got to, and all good things come to an end. So, but
absolutely.
But yeah, no, your Devils. I don't even know why I didn't give them credit, but after already smoking them, the town of New Jersey, the city of New Jersey already. But yeah, no, they're going to be. It'll be fun. I think it'll be a good year, and this year I'm actually I'm excited about hockey, and I'm excited about watching hockey because, and I haven't had that in a while. For a while, for myself, hockey, with it just, as it's your job, It's like asking somebody, when I was working in it full time, my buddy Eric Hoffman would tell me, he'd be like, I'd be like, oh, do you watch hockey at home? And he's like, no, why would I? He goes, I leave the work, I worked for the Rochester Ice Hawks. I leave there, I do that all day, and then I'm going to go home and what? He goes, no. He's like, I actually got into soccer. I was like, what? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, think about other professions. Do accountants go home and watch accounting TV shows and stuff like that? And I'm like, I don't know. I know a bunch of girls that are nurses that love Grey's Anatomy, but outside of that, but yeah, I mean, so I've taken a kind of a step back, but now that I've got all these damn streaming options, I'm actually looking forward to watching hockey this year more than I have in the past. And the Blackhawks actually have a reason now to watch a little bit more too. So, for
sure, I think that really ignites that fan base. You get a chance to get a generational player like Bedard. He's must watch TV, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's the buzz out here is pretty big about it going on. And everybody's just really excited. And again, I don't think the Hawks are too, they're a couple, definitely, they're not contenders, but they're, they got one of the best farm systems or pipelines in the league starting now. So, looking forward to it. I think we'll be where New Jersey is in at least 2 years from, if not 2 to 3 years from now. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so what
Well, one thing about my camps this summer, not to segue too quickly, but always my puck skills camp, I give kids a street hockey ball. I write their name on it. It's part of their stuff that they get at camp. We still use those Franklin orange street hockey balls. Those are great, though. They don't really bounce. They're not that if they do hit you, they don't hurt crazy hard. They're not like those really, really hard ones. And they're easy to stick handle, and they roll on any surface. But I did buy some new. I didn't buy like any green biscuits. I bought this other kind of puck I was trying out this year, and they were total garbage. They were like, and I won't give away the name, but they bounce everywhere. They're terrible, horrible. Oh man, they're just the worst thing I've ever seen. So the kids love the Franklin street hockey balls, but they don't like these other pucks, which we were trying to use for different drills. And that brings us to our topic of the day about hockey products. What are some of the hockey products when you were growing up that you remember using and that you were really fond of?
I mean, again, you said Franklin hockey balls. I mean, we had the orange ones. Then we would have the the ones that they had that like the white ones, but they had like the neon, like kind of like it looked like paint splatter on them. We had those. We had the nets that we would get, like the Franklin nets or whatever, or even shinny sticks, stuff like that. But I mean, I really remember using the Franklin hockey balls, and then they had the what were they? The smart hockey balls. Those are the ones that were like, they literally mimic the same weight of a puck and they move the same way. And I'm like, they do, like, because they're a ball. But we used a lot of those. And then that just for training purposes, that's kind of the stuff that we used. But I mean, like, also products wise, the big thing that we started using obviously was like stick wax, but also like the Swede stick, for a quick try and sharpen your stick quickly, which like was hit or miss. I mean, really, you just need to get your skate sharpened. But I mean, it helped a little bit. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, training equipment, God, I mean, we don't have like the super dekers that those kids have nowadays. But I mean, like, what did you use growing up, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of street hockey growing up. So we always had the Milek, the Milek gear. We always had the Milek goalie pads. We had the sticks that you could make into a banana curve.
Yep.
Those were
Gym
great.
Teachers hate them.
Absolutely. Recently, in the last couple of years, we had one of those triangle shaped rebounders, which had the long elastic or rubber. But I found that a lot of the pucks, when you passed it too hard, it would get stuck underneath.
Yeah.
So I purchased, and I forget the name of the company, but I purchased a solid block of rubber that has a handle on the top, and it's made out of all metal. It's pretty heavy.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen
those. And those are fantastic.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, they're great. Like you can pass off those, you can create rebounds off those, and then they never get stuck underneath. And they're easy enough to carry because they have that big handle on top. So that's a recent purchase. But growing up, I mean, I remember John Patterson down the street. I lived on a block that had like 48 kids in New Jersey, and I remember he actually built nets like out of wood.
Oh, that's awesome!
And he pulled them out one time, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, those are amazing!" And they broke probably a couple days after. But then he made his own PVC nets.
Yeah.
And then we used them in the winter, and they cracked. Yeah. All sorts of stuff. So we had to get rid of the PVC, and eventually somebody got like those metal nets, and those were great.
Yeah, that's what we. I mean, we went to the PVC ones, and it was just like, all right, it's only a matter of time until this thing's destroyed when you're taking clap or just like 5 feet from it. But yeah, the metal ones. But no, yeah, I mean, you really kind of hit the nail on the head there with the products and stuff. Like I said, I remember when, kids nowadays, again, they got the super deker where they're, they got to follow the pattern and this and that. And they've got,
those are really cool.
They got all those different toys and stuff now. And again, I think I'm, as a coach, I'm a fan of like some of them. Some of them I think are just kind of just more crap on the ice that you got to clean up afterwards. I think one of the big ones, God, I'll forget it, and I don't know why I forget it, but what was the one that McDavid really helped put them on the map?
Power Edge Pro.
Yeah, your Power Edge Pro, your PEP. You know, like that one. You know what's funny is how many knockoffs I've seen in those are in rings. Like
yeah.
People just make their own now, and you don't have to buy the Power Edge Pro where you're obligated to like host a clinic or two using it, and you get to keep some of the proceeds. Like, no, guess what? You can just make your own. You know, so I mean, I don't remember too much. I remember we had a coach who had a couple different they were metal. The purpose for them was so that you would have to go around them with your knees bent, and it was like kind of like I wouldn't say a gate, but how they were made, it was a piece of metal that you would have to skate around, and it was set up so that it stayed flat on the ice for the bottom part, and then up in the middle so you could skate under it. So basically, it was like reinforcing like the knee bend, which all he really had to do was like tell you, okay, you're gonna skate around here and go to that cone, and you gotta just like put his stick over there so you bend your knees. But outside of that, we really didn't use, when I played, it was cones, and that was it. Like, we didn't have any of the stuff that the kids are using now.
In terms of equipment too, like you know, I'd love to get your thoughts on some of the weirdest things you've ever seen in terms of the on ice equipment. I mean, I remember a couple years ago, it's probably more than that, like 10, 12 years ago, they had that Messier helmet, which was supposed to be concussion-proof. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder how that lawsuit worked.
It was not a good-looking helmet, which is always, you know, if you're gonna cover up the flow, you got to have good-looking helmet to put over it, a good bucket. But it's impossible. I can't. There's nothing concussion-proof.
No, it took us so long to figure this out, but like equipment wise, I mean, I don't think. I do remember that. You know, like the sticks that had like the holes in the middle of them, the dumbest, like not in the blade.
On the blade?
Not the blade.
Oh no, I remember. Yeah,
the dot stick one. Yeah, like that was the dumbest thing in the world. I thought. I was just like, why would you? I mean, they were expensive as hell. Like it wasn't even like close to being the same price of even a decent composite stick. So, they had those that were pretty dumb. But I mean, equipment-wise, you know, I've seen different things. I've seen coaches use, you know, I'm okay with parachute training and stuff. It just has to be done under like the right, you know, direction, like purview of a coach.
Yep.
Like, and the coach actually knows what they're doing with it. I've seen some coaches bring out like basically, you know, it's like velcroed around you, like a band that velcros around you, and then they like put it on the bench, and basically like it's resistance training. And again, I think it's good when it's used properly with the proper athletes, but when you've got kids that don't even have, you know, adequate stride structure yet, and you got them using it, it just looks like, you know, it's more or less a show for mom and dad.
Yes.
And then the other,
and that one, and not to cut you off too much, but
no, cut me off as much as you need to.
I get one per night, but because I remember I watched one thing like that in Denver this year, and somebody's using it for resistance, and I've seen it used in the other direction and been really effective. So, you know, if you're skating against like a what do you call it, a bungee cord or a rubber band or things like that, if you're skating into it against it, there's a really bad chance to get injury, to fall back if it's aligned with your chest or your neck, to fall backwards and hurt yourself, or snap into your gooch, or do something really painful.
Man,
but
that's the
if
worst.
you use it the other way, where it's overspeed training, where you're pulling with it, it causes your legs to go faster, and that is a really helpful way to do it. But I see so many people use it incorrectly.
Right. No, and I think that's, again, people. I think you got too many people out there who, you know, like they don't know the science behind the stuff, so they're just using it to however they think it looks good or it might work, which, you know, I guess, you know, trial and error has helped us a lot as a society over the thousands of years that we've been on this earth, but I don't know if I want to be doing trial and error with, you know, peewees, bantams, midgets, you know, stuff like that. I don't think I want to be doing that, like, with training-wise, at least with, you know, objects and stuff like that, but, you know, that one surprised the hell out of me. I mean, you know, another product that we had access to, we didn't use, I never used it, but like my stepbrother did and a bunch of my teammates did, was a skating treadmill. That started really kind of take off, I think, in the real early 2000s. But I've seen some coaches take out wagon wheels and use those on the ice because they're like oversized, like looking pucks, like pretty much same dimensions. Okay. And what they're doing, and I get it. I mean, it somewhat makes sense. Is they're basically using it as okay. It's a little bit of like a little bit heavier than a regular puck, so like that's one way they use it. But they also use it to have the kids watch the spin as it comes off their stick blade. So like as they're making the pass, they can see it spin like a regular wheel, which obviously is, as a coach trying to teach, I'm sure you just went through it the last couple of weeks with camps and stuff. Some kids just think passing the puck is slapping it, and it doesn't matter if it's flat on the ice or, well, they don't even know flat on the ice. They just think it's like, oh, hey, I got it to my teammate. I don't care that it looked like a wounded duck getting to him. Like, that's so like they use those, and then they're teaching the kid, okay, roll your wrist, roll it from heel to toe. And I mean, even this week, like that was one thing that I was working on, was like we had a passing station in our preseason skate that I was running, and I was like, certain kids, like I'm like, guys, like again, they're 9 years old, so this is like a good time to teach it. But teaching it heel to toe, roll your wrist over a little bit. That's why it's instead of it going at your teammates like ankles and shins, like if you roll your wrist over, it's not going to do that so much. So I've seen like just little like tire stuff like that, which I actually thought that was cool. And that's not even a hockey, like I don't think you can find anywhere that sells, like you're not going into pure hockey to find hockey, like wagon wheels or anything like that.
Well, that's pretty cool. I never heard of that idea. That's a new one for me. That's cool.
Yeah. So, and then obviously the green biscuit then obviously took the cake on everything, and that's made everyone's lives a little bit easier.
Those are good.
Yeah. So I mean, in my opinion, that's it. But product wise, what anybody that's selling any type of product around here?
Danny Cangelosi is the one of the owners of Mr. Lemon Stick Wax, and he's going to join us on the podcast here to discuss his playing career, some of his observations from the game, and then also about Mr. Lemon Stick Wax, the new product he has coming out. All right, welcome to the podcast, Danny Cangelosi. Danny played junior hockey and then went on to a college hockey career with Chatham University and Newman University before embarking in professional hockey. He's now working for a hockey product company called Mr. Lemon Wax. But before we get to that, Danny, I'd love to ask you, in all your hockey experiences, we're talking about hockey products today on the podcast. What are some of the products that you remember using when you were a kid that kind of helped you either development with your game or helped you on the ice in terms of your performance?
Probably the first, thanks for having me on the podcast. This is my first podcast I've ever been on, so it's kind of fun to be on a podcast, feel like a Joe Rogan experience or something.
It only takes 20 minutes to get on. We're all good here, buddy.
We don't got a bouncer at the door here.
It's funny, I'm actually going to work as a bouncer after this podcast is over, so that's interesting. No, but probably the first hockey product I got was one of those real steel nets. I got it from Costco. It was like a USA Hockey net. Put that bad boy in the backyard, and then so they have like I think it's called like an X passer, where you pass it off the puck off the little rubber band they started off as, and it would bounce it back to you, and it had like a little sheet that you could screw into synthetic ice. It was a little pricey when it first came out, so I went to Home Depot and we got a sheet of plexiglass and we got 2 screws and we screwed 2 hockey pucks into the plexiglass, and we put a bungee cord around the 2 hockey pucks and made our own little X passer there, and that was the first little hockey tool I used. Really? But a little homemade X little pass back on synthetic ice. So
we're gonna explore a little bit of that DIY. Venture into making your own hockey products. But in terms of the stuff now, you use that stuff off the ice. That's great in terms of, the net and the passer. What kind of some of the products that you used when you were a player? What kind of stuff were you using in games? What kind of tape? What kind of wax? What were some of the best products you ever had?
I was never like a branded player for the tape thing. I think up until probably like Pee Wee year when it was acceptable still to use color tape and have some flames on it when you're going out on the ice. So tape that up with like an American flag tape or maybe some flame tape, and get after it without a fear of retribution and perhaps judgment from teammates on the color of the tape going on the ice there, zebra stripes or something. But tape wise, funny enough with the Mr. Lemon stick wax thing, which I'm sure we'll get to. I didn't use wax until I probably got to junior hockey and college when it was kind of free. And they would hand it out, and I was like, okay, what the heck is this stuff? Because I don't have to pay for it anymore, and put it on my stick. And, that was the wax I kind of went to in college, was whatever they had in the locker room, which was usually Howie's hockey wax. Seems to be the giant on the hockey wax market, the originals, perhaps. And then other than that, hockey products, I mean, some Gatorade every once in a while, on the ice, keep the electrolytes going through. And that's probably about it. And then just, off-brand stick, maybe one model down, like an ST grip or something from Easton. And that's about it. Yeah.
Well, that's good stuff, Danny. Now, just to talk about hockey in terms of your playing career a little bit, tell us a little bit about some of the, you moved up through junior hockey pretty quickly, and then you were at Chatham for a couple of years, and you transferred to Newman, and then you played in the Federal League for a number of years. Tell me a little bit about your hockey experience, and if you have any words of advice to kids who are beginning that journey.
So the hockey career was super long. Obviously, it started, I don't know, probably 5 years old with double blades on the pond that you strapped onto your shoes, I think was the first set of hockey skates I had. And then I got thrown into learn the skates, and apparently I did well. So I continued on with the hockey route and went through travel hockey and club hockey all the way up through high school, played 1 year of junior hockey, played, most of my only season of junior hockey with the Philly Revolution, and then came up, obviously up there in Laconia, New Hampshire, to New England Wolves, finished it out, got committed to Chatham University, a first-year team in the NCAA Division III league. Played there for a year and a half, then transferred to Newman through a contact that one of my buddies, goalie tending there, came over there a little closer to home. Played there, finished a career. Was actually I was working down by the beach, and one of my same buddy who brought me to Newman asked me if I had any interest in trying out for a Federal Hockey League team. Went to the Delaware Thunder. Was definitely an interesting experience at the Delaware Thunder, but it was cool to play in that arena in front of some fans. And then I actually got to touch the Southern Professional Hockey League for a hot second, bounced around 3 different teams there, and then bounced back to the Federal League to finish it off. I actually came back this year. I was working an accounting job in Florida, came back after that, not wanting to sit at the desk full time. Came back up, played 1 game this year, played 1 period, and got a couple games suspension there, and and then that was actually the last game I played. So I figured I might as well hang up the skates on that one.
Well, if you could give any advice to a kid that in your experience, any advice to a kid or parent who's navigating that journey, what would be that advice?
Honestly, it's something that I got into a little bit later, I think, than maybe I even realized it, but mental side of, it's not just, everybody's kind of doing, everybody now, it seems to be a standard of, if you're not doing an off ice program or you're not training in the off season and like doing, lessons or camps or all of these other different avenues of improving like physical performance and on ice skills and skill set on the ice. I think one of the things I developed a little bit maybe later was I actually started watching the game and like thinking about the game differently from just like going out and playing. So I would even start reading books. So how can I make my mind sharper so that when I'm on the ice and like I make a split second decision, I know what I'm going to kind of do just through rhythmic, so that where it ties in all the work that I'm doing on the ice, I'm working on improving my actual mind and how my connections and how I'm thinking are going to be faster and sharper and more mentally agitated. And then that also ties in with like nutrition side of things, of eating better foods and tying into that. So the mental health, actual mental health of like, how can I improve my bodily health so that my brain's functioning at my best ability so that when I go on the ice, I'm my healthiest and all these other things and sleep recovery and sleep was probably sleep. If we could improve sleep for all those athletes, I think that would help a lot of people and decrease a lot of injuries in and of itself. And like just being able to recognize that, yes, you should be working out, but also rest is more important too sometimes than, hey, I just worked out for 2 hours. Now I'm going to go to a skate. And then I have another team lift through my high school practice. And then I have a club hockey practice following that. And you don't realize that maybe you're having a good time because you're playing hockey and it's a freaking awesome sport, but you just skated and worked out for 7 hours and you haven't slept. And now you're going to be up till 2 a.m. doing your homework. And then you got to get on the bus at 6 a.m. to go back to school, and you're not going to get any sleep and quality sleep and all of those good things. So that was a lot.
Advice. No, that's good advice.
All right.
A lot of kids overlook that stuff. They don't really, it's a lot of trial and error when you leave home for the first time playing junior hockey. You don't realize what you're putting into your system is going to affect your performance. But Trevor, what do you got for Danny?
Yeah, I mean, before you go do your roundhouse thing here, not yet, whatever it is. Basically I'll just cut right to it. I mean, you're the first actual thing, product you're going to plug here on the show. So let us know about, give us a little rundown on Mr. Lemon Wax.
Yeah. So Mr. Lemon Wax, I'll give you the short version of how it actually started, but, started in Delaware. I was going to sell frozen fruit on a beach. A lot of hoops to jump through with that, regulation wise, little, some inner circle stuff going on down here that, kind of hard to get onto the beach. Ended up going down to Florida. I was going to work in accounting jobs. Still wanted to have a business, on the side to kind of work towards that. Talk to somebody. They mentioned the idea of, you're in Florida, citrus state. Why don't you do all natural organic lemonade, sell it at a farmer stand? You only need a food truck permit, whatever. I got the whole business set up, was ready to go, had formulas ready, tested lemonade, ready to set up at farmers markets. And then I was like, well, I don't really care anything about lemonade. I don't even drink lemonade, so why would I want to do that? And I was like, well, if I could do one thing right now for whatever, you don't have any money, you can just do it all day long. I'm getting into surfing and skimboarding again, really fun. I'm actually doing a skimboarding competition tomorrow, so that should be also hilarious.
Nice.
So I skimboarded down to Florida, and I was like, okay, well, I can make my own surf wax. It's not, a couple of ingredients: beeswax, coconut oil, and pine resin. So I started messing around
the secret ingredient. We're not going to allow the tell. You had to sign off on that one. But
we can't tell everything, but those are the main ingredients for a generalized surf wax. So I started messing around with that, and then I was like, well, I know Sex Wax, they sell it now as a hockey wax. And a lot of people like it a little bit better than Howie's, just because it's a little bit different stickiness and texturized and things like that. So I had the idea of, okay, I obviously have a lot of contacts in the hockey world, more so in the surf world. So I started accessing some of them and seeing feeling around, would this be a good idea? Got some good feedback on it. Got in contact with the logo artist who was able to design it actually for the lemonade company. At first, it was Mr. Lemon Lemonade. So we took Mr. Lemon Lemonade and we took the same logo of a guy holding his thumbs up, replaced it with a hockey stick, transitioned it into a hockey player, put the logo on it, came up with a great logo that said Grip and Rip. Got in contact with the supplier out in San Diego through another website that I got onto, somehow Googling around, and found these suppliers who make the surf wax. But I got in contact with this guy and said, hey, can we do a hockey wax? Which is, very similar to a cold water blend, but a little bit different. Obviously, we can't give all the ingredients away on the podcast. Yep. Got in contact with him, gave me a couple samples. I like the samples a lot. Decided to order a few thousand units and ordered it up and started posting a couple TikToks and Instagram posts and, going to a couple of different events. Got it in a couple pro shops up in North Jersey. People freaking love the product. And now we're kind of going through phase 2. We just got another shipment in and trying to get as many, teams supplied and people supplied and getting them ready for the season. And now we're here trying to start a company up from the ground and, compete with Howie's and a couple of these other sex wax brands and, make our way in that way.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's I never understood. I never knew what really the sex wax. I'd see it in the pro shops. I'm like, this is not appropriate for the squirts here to be using and stuff. And I'm like, I can automatically be like, yeah, you know what? I would rather have this, Mr. Lemon wax in my store than sex wax. No offense, sex wax. We probably now about the Sunday, a letter to shut us down, but it's all right. We'll come back with a different title anyways. But what do you think makes yours different? From those others like Howie's and sex wax. What would you say would make it different?
I think that the freshness of it, I say freshness as if it's a food, but
right.
just it's being hand poured the entire time. So I don't, necessarily know what Howie's is doing in their factories, but I guarantee that they're not doing a hand pour and, like checking over and, maybe each individual block is not in and of itself the exact same shape. And I think that's what makes it kind of cool is that you're getting a handmade product from somebody overlooking it in the actual warehouse, American made in San Diego. Someone who does it, someone who loves doing it for surfboarders, for now hockey players who loves the idea of it too, loves the logo as well. And, just the freshness allows, I think, the wax to be a little bit stickier, a little bit longer lasting, I think, than all of the other waxes out there, based on our tests, based on our feedback and all the customers' feedback of it so far is that it's lasting longer. It's a little bit stickier. Obviously the videos show kind of the cooler side of things that you can do with it by pressing the puck on it. It's just a kind of an exaggeration when in actuality, you go out there, you're on the ice, that puck's not sticking to your stick while you're stick handling. You can get the puck off while you shoot just as easily with other waxes or with no wax. You probably won't even notice a difference with it, to be honest. And the only advantage is if you do want to do some Trevor Zegras stuff and do some lacrosse style goals, it makes it a little bit easier to get that flat puck stuck onto the stick as well.
No, yeah, definitely. I just tape the puck to my stick when I got to do that. But no, I guess the last thing I just want to, tie it up is like, what is, if anything that you can think of, and I know this is really putting you on the spot here, but, as a former, junior college pro player, what is that really like that next step for you? Like where you're at now, what has hockey, if anything, kind of taught you over the years on trying to, or at least help you like build this type of product? Granted, you played hockey, so you know what you're kind of looking for, but is there anything in and of itself, that you can translate from one to the other, just trying to build a product from the ground up?
I think, hockey obviously is, I think I could compare everything that I do to everything that I've, learned or seen and experienced in my like hockey career. And now in my call it retirement, if you want to call it retirement. But always kind of was like, and actually one of my partners, his name is Bill Katinsky. He's a coach over in New Jersey. He's going to be coaching at William Patterson, their team over in North Jersey as well in Wayne. He used to be my trainer at our it was called Next Level, a hockey gym. He actually, excuse me. No, he was really like influential with that stuff. We were always trying to figure out like, little fitness. How can we make this little gadget here? How can we make this little thing here and make it big so that we can get out of kind of, this seemingly rat race of working a 9-to-5 job, which you've heard that I quit, to accounting jobs in the last 6 months because I felt like working at a desk job wasn't my thing. And I think that I needed to be not in charge of what I'm doing, but, kind of in control a little bit of that, my own fate. And, like, what do I want to do? What do I want to be around in that culture? So to develop a product that would allow me to kind of get out of a lifestyle that I didn't want to live and into more of a lifestyle of the culture that I want to be around and where I've been around for 25 years now, the hockey community. Kind of an awesome experience for me to be able to take a product and use it to, hopefully in the future, be at different experiences, be at different events, meet tons of different people, meet a whole bunch of different people in the hockey community, and hopefully do some cool stuff. It's not just wax related and, a lot of mental health related and hockey related and development of young teenagers and young kids and making them into actual human beings and like better human beings. So hopefully that will progress too as we get bigger and, keep those things in mind in my own head as I, hopefully continue to grow the business as well. So.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Danny. And, all the Wolves guys are going to have their Mr. Lemon stick wax this season. All of our players are going to get we got their box in there. So we're going to be giving that out on day one. And we're excited to be using the product. And hopefully it increases our goal totals and also helps us advance even further in the playoffs this year. Thanks, Danny, for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so Trevor, what'd you think of Danny and his new product?
Well, first of all, thank you, Danny, for coming on. And I meant to say Roadhouse, not Roundhouse. Roadhouse, because he said he was going to his bouncing gig. What I think about it, I think it's great. That as a, even I at this age, I'm always looking for something, to do on the side that brings you in that little bit of that passive income, but something you might be able to turn into a full-time job. And here's a guy who, you're not really a dummy if you're working at as an accountant, and he's decided to already hang up the boots on that to go with his passion here of selling that the wax for the stick. And there's not really, I don't see a huge market out there. And let me rephrase that. I don't see a huge there's not all these different
competitors.
Yeah, competitors. I guess. Yeah. I want to say monopoly, but I feel like I'm using too many different business tools, and yeah, he does. I don't see there's too many competitors. I feel like there's it's an open market. So I mean, I think it's awesome that he's found something that he's also passionate about. He said wakeboarding and surfing. It's the same type of kind of almost stickiness and stuff like that you'd put on your boards. So I just think it's awesome that he's found a passion that he can take something that he's passionate about and try and build, into it. And he's getting his foot in the door, and he's already started making a dent. That was my takeaway from it. And I mean, I liked what he said about, his playing career and stuff like that. But I mean, again, just what can you do when you're away from the game, and still be in the game, So I thought that was cool. What about you, Coach?
Yeah, I agree. I love that he's found a way to stay in the game and maybe do something that could, help kids when they're trying to handle the puck. And in terms of the actual application of the product, our kids got some of it last year during the playoffs. They really liked it. He approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in re-upping and ordering some more?" And I said, "Yeah, let's give it all to our athletes all year. They can use it as the exclusive stick wax for the Wolves." So we're going to have it out for our teams this year, and kids are going to have access to it. And when you go in the locker room, it smells a little bit different when it smells like lemons. So
Yeah,
that's a nice benefit too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I again, I mean, when I started using stick wax was around bantam/midget. We had Howie's, and then we had stick butter, I think it was called, where it looked like it was like a deodorant stick, and that was about it. And I mentioned before, they have this, the sex wax or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want, who thinks this is a great idea to sell this in a pro shop where kids are walking? And come on. So I think once it comes out here in the Midwest, even before that, I would definitely be interested in getting a couple tins just to kind of see what it's all about. But again, I thanks Danny for coming on. Again, first product that we're actually repping. Unless he doesn't pay his bill here before I post this, and then our lawyers are going to tell him that we're going to have to censor his brand name out. But no,
just kidding, Dave.
No, just kidding. Yeah, no, you made it. You paid the bill. But no, I think it's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's always cool to be able to go back. So, but I think that brings us to the 5 myths here, huh, Coach?
Absolutely. And Trevor, you lead us off. What do you got for number 1?
So yeah, this week I actually got to be, got to take off and get to choose the ones that I want to use for once. So again, we got the 5 myths this week of hockey products. Whether it's how you're using them, what you're using, what you buy, this and that. I think the first myth is that hockey products are a one-size-fit-all, and by that, I think, when each player, everybody's got to have everything, this, as I talked about earlier, the wagon wheels, it's not really a hockey product, but, maybe you're using that for, that or an orange weighted puck. Maybe you're just using it just to teach better mechanics. You can do and use those tools for different things. It doesn't have to be for just one singular thing. And I think that's where, again, you talked about the passers, but even those, I know goalie coaches that use those things for, rebounds. They shoot it right off those things, and they're, it's, yeah, okay, if the kid's good at geometry, he might figure out the angles a little bit quicker, but, I think I think everything doesn't have to always be like, again, putting, just perfectly got to be used this way. I mean, finding different stuff, different ways to use stuff is always fantastic and can be used for multiple different reasons. And those are really the best products, I think.
I couldn't agree more. I think that, sometimes the DIY, doing it yourself, can create a real value as well. Like a kid can have some, ownership over what they're making instead of you buying them. If they get every gift at Christmas underneath the sun, they don't play with any of them. Right. But if they get one or two, they really value them.
Right. No, definitely. So what do you got for number 2, Coach?
Keeping up with the Joneses. So
good people.
It's kind of very similar to what you said, but if you're looking down the street and being like, well, that kid has a great shot, or he has those new pants, or he has those new gloves or new skates, it doesn't make you a better player.
No.
The focus should be on your particular game and how you can make yourself a better hockey player. I have seen so many kids get new rollerblades or new skates, and it doesn't do anything for their game unless you use them. So I would say that, kids, if you're listening to this, cut your parents some slack. You don't need
or their checkbooks some slack.
Their parents or their bank account a little slack. You don't need a brand new thing every season. You can settle for what you have, make the most of it. And the more you practice, that's going to make you better, not a new piece of equipment.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's it's one of those things where, again, it's, that's why they make the money they do with all those ads and stuff, all the new stuff. But, unless you're the top 1%, really, certain things are not going to make a huge difference. Just because so-and-so's skate weighs 3 grams less does not mean, yours, all of a sudden he's a faster kid. It's how you use it too. And even still, like most of the kids, like you're not going to even get the most out of it. So I agree with, again, help mom and dad.
One thing, one parent showed me this summer in my garage. We were doing a session with him and his son, and their team did a hockey shot challenge. And I think we talked about it in an early podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He had an app in which they were competing with their team against each other, and I was kind of amazed because he was showing me his weekly progress, and those kind of things where they're a little bit accountable with one another, even though that's not a particular a product that you're actually you're using to improve your shot or whatever, but it's an application that when utilized can make a big difference. And he had 10,000 shots this summer, and little kid named Chase Cluley, I'll give a shout out to him. He's made a great jump in his game this summer just by doing it himself and working hard on it. So that's pretty cool.
And again, back in the day before we had cell phones, what would you use instead? You would be writing it down on your own. Well, now, the accessibility of these things and just so much easy point of use, it makes it so much easier for kids to do and for anybody to do,
Absolutely.
Except I got all these damn notes open with checklists that I never ever complete. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. I think number 3, I maybe could have probably passed this off to, I'm gonna save number 3. I'm gonna save it for number 5. I'm gonna switch number 5 and number 3 because I can, because this is our show, not nobody else's.
Absolutely.
Well, it might be, never mind. So number 3 here is coaches who use toys or products on the ice are better than those who don't. I find that, and again, this kind of goes back to our typical, skills coaches, this and that. I'm not going to, I'll bash you guys for as long as I want, but, because again, it's our show. I don't think it's necessary to always have, coaches that are using, as we talked about before, resistant bands and this and that. You can be perfectly fine just having a kid apply resistance by being pushed or by being pulled, if you're even needing tools whatsoever. The ones that got, they go, we're going to stick handle under the stick, the little stick mount that they have. Again, I think it all just depends on the application, but I really don't think, I know some really bad coaches that use those, use tools and they don't even use them correctly. And that the kids don't get anything out of, and I've seen some really good coaches who don't use anything of that nature who get more out of their kids. So I don't think as parents, I don't think it's something we should, or I'm not a parent, so I don't know to say that I know of, but I don't know to say we, but I don't think as adults we need to look at, this coach is using this tool, this coach is using that. it's the application itself. So I don't think we should hold it against people. Now, if the coach is using something that's working really well, like we talked about before, the Power Edge Pro stuff, like if you're using something like that and you're using it correctly, like it's great, but if you're just using it to stick handle around, like, okay, it's still good, but everything's got its reasons, reasons behind it. I think we put too much on, well, this coach does all this, and that, and a lot of it's just for show. Like, they don't even know what the hell they're doing. Like, put a tire out there. It's the same damn thing.
Yeah, I would say it's more about what you're communicating than what you're communicating with.
Right, yeah.
It's more important the information you're relaying to a kid when you're trying to teach a drill or give them pointers on what they're doing wrong or right, rather than just, I can use my mouth and tell them what they're doing. I don't need to draw it up on a draw erase board or use a app or my phone or something like that. You can
iPad.
just use, nothing wrong with the basics,
Right. No, yeah. I mean, that's I got Coach. What do you got number 4?
Number 4. If you build it, they will come.
All right.
If you build it, they will come. Great movie, by the way.
It is.
Love that. Field of Dreams is one of the top 10, maybe top 5 sports movies, but one of the top 10 favorite movies.
Absolutely, 100%. I've been there. I don't know about you, but I've actually been there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't remember it well enough. I was real young, but my grandparents took myself. We went and saw some extended family out there when I was much younger, probably like 9 or 10. I didn't really understand it at the time, and now I'm looking back. I'm like, it was so cool. My grandfather actually, there's pictures of him somewhere where it's like him slowly walking into the cornfield.
Yeah.
So like, and like, I don't know, they took like 5 pictures, and each one he's just getting deeper and deeper into the cornfield. We haven't seen him since, but it's a great pictures.
Now, how far is that from Chicago? Is that like a thing you could drive to?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's like, I think it's probably like 3, within 3.
Really?
4 hours tops, yeah. And you'd think, man, what has Trevor been doing all summer? Yeah, not going to Field of Dreams. That's what I should have been doing. So, all right, but yeah, back to hockey.
So I have this nasty habit. If I go to a bookstore, because like my wife's like, oh, let's go to the bookstore, I'll buy a book and I'll never read it. It'll sit on the counter. But if I'm excited about something and I buy the book, I'll read it.
Yeah. Yep.
So, if you build it, they will come. What I meant by that is like, don't just buy a bunch of stuff for your kids. Let them ask you to buy it for them.
Yep.
If they ask you to buy it for them, they're probably going to use it. But if you just like, oh, I got you this new hockey sauce thing for Christmas. Oh, thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Cool.
So there has to be a connection to the product before they're going to use it. I think that's just my personal experience. No,
and we've had when the Super Deker, I know I keep saying that, but that's like really the big product that I just remember the players talking about the most. It was a family that I coached. It was 3 kids. They were actually all triplets, so imagine that hockey bill. But like that's all they talked about was, oh, I really wanted the Super Deker. I really want the Super Deker. This is what they wanted it before they even got it, and it came from Santa. But so Santa did a good job. But like the parents told me, like all the kids, all they did all day was just use it. Like as soon as they unwrapped it, it was just they just one after the other was just going using that thing.
That's really cool.
I agree. Like, if the kid wants it, yeah, go for it. Like, if they don't want it, then it's not something they're interested in. It's going to take them a little bit, longer to get into. But, all right, so number 5, which was number 3, but I'm changing it back and doing my own thing, remix style. So, you need hockey products to succeed. And I don't believe that's true. And, some things, obviously, you need hockey equipment to succeed. But, if you don't have... Again, you don't have a Super Deker, you're going to be okay. If you don't have, a Franklin hockey ball, a tennis ball will work just as fine. It's amazing that the people are still able to get better at the sport, and they don't have all these fancy dancy, these tools or toys or whatever, You definitely need to get some Mr. Lemon wax, okay, hockey wax, but... outside of that, though, I mean, product-wise, that residual check better be coming in the mail. Product-wise, we just want to, you don't have to always have all those things. It doesn't make you, we've talked about before, a better or worse player. Let me phrase it. It can make you a better player. Some of them can if you're using them correctly, but it's not going to really stunt you. And again, as you said, if the kids really want it, like if they go out and make their own stuff, like if they make their own, obstacle course or stick handling, or if they make their own little, Power Edge Pro, like dangle, doing that stuff. That works too. Or you don't have to. There's plenty of drills you can do on your own. Shooting pucks every day does not, you don't need anything special besides a net and pucks. You don't even need a net. You can get a garbage can. Make sure it's not your mom and dad's favorite one. But you can get by with very little stuff. I mean, again, look at all the pros that have gone through the game, and you just need, a stick and ice, or a stick or, a driveway. So I just think, I think sometimes we just get too much as, everybody thinks you need this, you need that. And everybody sells stuff, as you said, before, like the Messier helmet, like, oh, it's concussion proof. Well, yeah. Like I said, I'd love to see how much they're paying after all the lawsuits. Well, my kid now, he didn't used to look this way, but now he has to walk backwards, just to get somewhere. So, again, I think this can be overrated for a lot of stuff. So,
I'm gonna show you a picture real quick. You'll see it on the thing, maybe, or maybe we'll post this somewhere. I think my kid might have got concussed at camp last week because look at this. My wife said. He woke up this morning. He woke up this morning, got himself dressed, and he put his shirt on backwards, and it's a collared shirt. So he's got the buttons down the back.
Well, you guys need to turn that Messier helmet back in because that's not working out right now.
The Messier helmet failed him for sure.
Kudos for him for trying to get himself dressed, but yeah. Well, hey, you know what? They get yeah. No, that's awesome. That's great.
Crisscross, remember that group? Remember that group back in the day?
Yeah, sure.
No, you don't. Come on. They probably had that song in 1990, 91. They wore all their clothes backwards though. They're called Crisscross.
I do know who you're talking about only because of
little
kids. Yes, I do remember that now. I couldn't tell you the song, but I do know exactly what you're talking about.
Daddy Mac will make it. Jump. Crisscross will make it.
Well, all right. That's episode 20 before we get ourselves off I'm not allowed to record anymore. So, yeah. So for Hockey Toolkit, I am Trevor DiCarlo.
I'm Andrew Trimble.
Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.